The Boys Season 3 Episode 4 just released, and if there's something that always amazes me with this show, it's just how much it manages to make me love Homelander. Or well, scratch that. The Boys does such an incredible job at making me love to hate him. You see, ever since he stepped onto the pavement in Season 1, this guy has consistently stole every scene he's in, and consequently the whole show. Part of this is due mostly to Anthony Starr, the actor who plays Homelander. Because even if Homelander always was a terrifying villain in the comic version of The Boys, Anthony just manages to bring a certain psychotic energy to the character that I don't think I've ever seen in media before. Now throughout The Boys, we have seen Homelander go from a violent, selfish child stuck in an adult's indestructible body to now into a fully fledged manipulative megalomaniac that almost seems to be vying for world domination. And nothing speaks higher of this than recent events in The Boys Season 3. Oh, and spoilers for basically the entire series so far. Now in Season 3, we see the fallout of the Homelander's romance with Stormfront the Nazi going public. Minute by minute, we see how Homelander is quickly losing his sanity as people are starting to realize what an absolute monster he is. This leads into a full crescendo in episode 2, as when Vought are about to celebrate Homelander's made-up birthday, somebody in the crowd comments on Stormfront being Homelander's dead Nazi girlfriend. And as Starlight takes a chance to play her hand, Homelander snaps and makes a speech that we've all been waiting for, where he asserts himself as the real hero while expressing his anger and frustration not only to the people he's supposed to be a hero for, but also the higher-ups at Vought. Now this moment was when Homelander started to bloom in my opinion. While we know that he's always been a psychopathic monster, why, because he treats everyone like an ant to be stepped on, this season is really where we see just how scary he is when he's not only using his supreme powers but also his intellect. Because after Homelander opens up, he realizes that he has nothing more to be afraid of. Well, except for one thing. Basically everyone on the planet fears and respects him now that they know that he is a Temper. But that isn't what he wants. No. Homelander wants admiration. He wants to be loved. That is also at the core of his character, which kind of makes him sympathetic in a way, since he has never felt the true love and support of a parent. And this, my ladies and gentlemen, this admiration from the public is all that he has.
I mean, this constant need to be loved by everyone is kind of pathetic, but, yay!
What the fuck you say to me, you little shit?
And in this season, he realizes just how much powerful he can become by silently planning his next step. Because if the public truly finds out all the horrible things he's done, then he's lost it all. But you see, in episode 4, Stan Edgar, who's the real mastermind behind Vought, decides that the best way to make Homelander back down from his way of testing the boundaries is to make his adoptive daughter, Vicky, speak openly to the public about some form of dirt that he's got on Homelander. And as Stan Edgar has proven to be quite formidable in his role as the ultimate mastermind, we are of course expecting him to get Homelander to back down, just like he managed to do in episode 1. But, in a really cool twist, Victoria instead decides to out Stan Edgar right in front of the press as being corrupt, which shocks not only Stan Edgar but us as viewers as well. We then also find out the reason to why she did this, as it turns out that Homelander was the one who made her switch sides. Now, while we at first could assume this was because she was afraid of him, it actually turns out that she wanted a dose of Compound V, which she later proceeds to use on her daughter, Zoe. Homelander, being the most powerful being on the planet, seemingly had little trouble getting into Stan Edgar's own office to take it, along with classified documents on Victoria. Which means that Homelander now also has access to the most privy of information, and considering Stan Edgar is now supposedly out of the picture with possibly Homelander's manager, Ashley, taking the top spot, Homelander will have little opposition on truly becoming the most powerful being on the planet. Well, up until Billy Butcher takes him down together with the US military, which is sort of what happens in the comics. Speaking of the comics, we can see that there are definitely still parts of the comics that are in play here. When Homelander is speaking to Stan Edgar towards the end of the episode, the dialogue is very reminiscent of the one between comic Homelander and James Stillwell, who Stan Edgar is based on. Stan proceeds to knock down Homelander's confidence a tad, so much so that I really thought that he was about to get lasered in half. But as Stan walks out of the room still alive, it's pretty apparent that Homelander is still looking for Stan's approval. which means for all his power, he still just wants to be loved. And whenever he realizes that nobody will ever care for him and truly respect him, well, that's when shit will really hit the fan, and I have a strong feeling that we might see that happening this very season. With all this said, I really appreciate the work that's getting put into this show, and Anthony Starr is just an amazing actor who manages to make me uneasy and at the same time amazed whenever he's on screen. Thanks to this, Homelander has managed to become one of my favorite villains in any media ever. He's just that terrifying.
Stop it!
Well, alright then. That's all I had for today. Have a good one.